What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick,
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
and welcome to episode number 52 of Vinyl Bang. Today, we're going to finish our top 20 albums of all time. This is our top 10 albums of all time.
This is it. This is what's going to make or break this show. We'll see how our top 10. And again, neither of us know what is in each other's top 10. So
Well, you got to do me like that, Jeff.
lot of tension, a lot of anxiety. I'm already sweating.
There were a couple eyebrow raisers in the last episode for sure on your side for me. I was like, oh my God, really? But like, hey, that's great. That's great. We did get kind of close with New American Gospel. I love that.
Yeah,
That was
that was awesome. That worked out perfectly.
all right. Let's not kill each other's time here. Let's go ahead, Jeff. Started this one off. What is number 10?
All right, starting off at number 10 in my top 10 comes from a band that I have mentioned several times throughout the years. I guess I'll say. I guess my better wishes. I try not to bring this band up. Nick had mentioned his 11th album from the last episode was from this band, and I am going to go with a different album from Cattle Decapitation. Number 10 is The Harvest Floor. The Harvest Floor. I have given this a lot of thought over the last few years. I mean, I've been a fan of Cattle Decapitation since Human Manure came out in 2007, 6, 5, 4, somewhere in that area. Somewhere in the early 2000s, I became a fan of Cattle Decapitation, and my favorite album from them has always floated back and forth between Human Manure. Sometimes it was the Monolith of Inhumanity, which was the first album that my name was mentioned in, and it goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, whenever it all boils down to it, it actually is the Harvest Floor. This album is just incredible from beginning to end. The Gardeners of Eden. The one song that I never got to see them perform live, probably my favorite song from this album, is "The Ripe Beneath the Rind." And to the best of my knowledge, the last time they played this was when they were on tour with Soulfly. I think it was like a year or so after 2009 or 2010. This album came out in 2009, by the way, The Harvest Floor, and they were doing a tour with Soulfly where they were playing that song exclusively, and I didn't get to see that tour, and I guess I'll never get to see The Right Beneath the Rind because they don't really play anything pre Monolith of Inhumanity anymore. Anything at all. They don't play anything off To Serve Man or Human Manure or Homivore, of course, and Human Jerky, and just it sucks that I missed out on the heyday. But you know, still a one of my absolute favorite bands. Travis, of course, is a good friend, and everybody in the band. Dave McGraw, Josh Elmore, great guys, great friends. Even better album, The Harvest Floor, and that artwork, dude. I just fucking love that artwork. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the artwork.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yep, number 10 of my top 10, Cattle Decapitation, The Harvest Floor, which I sometimes like to call the Harvest Flower, FLOUR, because harvest.
I I
Symbol
was
that they have.
absolutely expecting a Cattle album, not that one from you, but cool, cool. That's a cool record. I remember a lot of our buddy. I think James tells me that I think that's his favorite one too. But I think that was the first one that Dave was on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and like you. Let's no disrespect to all the previous drummers, but it was just like a level above what they were doing before, and like
Yeah.
Dave McGraw joined that band, it was just like holy shit. And I think a lot of
Right.
people really started to recognize like how awesome Cattle Decapitation is, and yeah, it is a shame they
Absolutely.
don't play too much of that old stuff. They do a lot. They try to sell the albums that they've just sold. So they just put out. So like they're obviously when they go out live, they perform those songs, the newer songs, and maybe someday they'll do one of those things where they'll let the fans vote like one or two songs off every album. They'll play something like that. Those are fun when bands do stuff like that for the crowd.
Yeah, I want to start harassing them during sound checks because I always get the shows early, to sound check. Like I want to be like, play To Serve Man, play Colon Blow, play Colostomy Jigsaw Puzzle, or whatever.
I love Colon Blue. That's a great song. I've seen them play that live before.
Me too.
Yeah. All right, my number 10. This is a band that I discovered years ago when I was filming for a DVD at Maryland Death Fest, and this band was I was scheduled to film them, and I checked them out. Never heard them before this, and was just blown away. This was in the album that they were touring at the time. I discovered them, the album before this, but this would be their second full length by the band from Seattle, Washington, Black Breath. This is the album Sentenced to Life. Look at that artwork. Sledgehammer smashing the glass. This album came out in 2012 on Southern Lord Records. I absolutely love this band. This was just a band that I discovered because I had to film them, and I just fell in love with like how great they were. Picture these guys in the back. Shout out to all these dudes. Rest in peace to Eli right here. Elias is the one that passed away. But great fucking band. This album is so cool. This is the red with black splatter. Looks pretty nice. Yeah. My favorite song on this album is called The Flame. It is just great riff, great vocals, great lyrics, just awesome. Just I can't say enough great things about this band. When the bass player passed away back in 2019, and I believe after that they just they stopped being a band. This past year, Record Store Day in April, they put out a box set, and it was all their albums plus the EP and the demo cassette and a little book. And I think I shared that in our Record Store Day episode. But like,
yes,
this band means the world to me. Like I was kind of tight with the singer and the bass player, and I'm actually friends with the drummer on Facebook. I shoot him messages every now and then and send him links of pictures and videos that I have taken of this band over the years. But like, they are one of my favorite bands that I discovered that like I feel like should be much bigger than they actually are. But like at some point I discovered like, man, you're on your own island with some of the shit you listen to. It's okay if not everybody likes the same stuff you like, but like I love this band. It's a band I swear by. I tell people they were so fucking awesome, so underrated. I wish they were bigger than they actually were. But yeah, this was a record that I certainly would Desert Island for sure. I mean, Black Breath, they've got 3 full lengths that they put out. This was their second one, and it is my number 10.
Nice. Now that pressing wasn't part of the box set, right?
It was not. No, I have.
So that was a separate pressing.
I have two random pressings that I bought. There was a clear vinyl, and then that one, and then I can't remember what color comes in the box set, but yeah. That was
I've dabbled in Black Breath a little bit throughout the years. Like I never really got into them as you did, but like because of your enthusiasm for the box set, and I was actually supposed to, if I got up on time, if I didn't sleep in that day, I was supposed to look for a copy of that box set for you, which you wound up getting. But because of your enthusiasm for all of those albums, like I started looking them up on Spotify, and I don't remember where I was traveling to. I was driving somewhere. But like I listened to their catalog from beginning to end, it was just like, man, I've really missed the boat on these guys. Like they're great.
Great, they really band. Are. The last time I saw them, they played this small little venue in Washington D.C. that's gone now. It's called the Rock and Roll Hotel. They were opening for Goatwhore, I believe, and they played 2 new songs off their final album, which was the only time I saw any songs off those albums. That album performed live. And I could tell that he changed his vocal styles up a little bit. So like after the show, when I went to go listen to Cypress Hill with him and the bassist on the roof of his place, I brought that to his attention. He goes, you noticed that. So a few months later, I got that record. I remember Macklin Bean sending me a link because I guess he's like a blogger or something. So he gets like albums in advance, and if he knows it's a band I like, he'll share it with me. It's pretty nice of him. Um, but yeah, that they were supposed to go on tour with Decapitated, and something happened, and they had to cancel that tour. But Decapitated still went out with other bands, but no, Black Breath didn't really appeal to me. So and then the bassist passed away, and that was it for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I could give you a playlist of good songs to check out by them. They're an incredible band and a fun fucking band. Like just
no, absolutely. It was like whenever I came across songs that I really like, I was like, calling you or texting you, like, dude, this fucking song's awesome. Like, yeah, great band for sure. I should invest in some Black Breath one of these days.
Definitely, that album. Start with that one. That's cool. You start at the beginning. There's an EP before all this, but that one, that one's my favorite.
Right on.
Sentence to Life.
Duly noted. All right. So moving on from number 9 or number 10 up to number 9, and I really should have thought about this before I threw Cattle Decapitation into this list, because if Travis watches this episode, I'm never going to hear the end of it, of the bands that I think are better than his, especially this next one. Like, the fact that I'm wearing a Snot shirt while talking about Cattle Decapitation, but this next band, if I say, I like this album better than Harvest Floor, he's going to call me and say, I wish you were still a fan. Number 9 in my set list, or in my list of top 10 albums of all time, an album that is better than Cattle Decapitation, The Harvest Floor, Korn, Life is Peachy. I'm going to go with Korn. This album, I was really going back and forth between this and the debut, because just the debut album is so good, and it really, like, they always say the first impressions are the ones that last, and it is. It's a great album, but this one, there's so much diversity to it, and it's just so, I don't know. It just hits way differently than the first one. Like the opening with Twist. Like they mentioned Twist in the debut album right before before they played Clown. Like they talk about, hey, you want to do Twist? We wish we could put Twist on the record. You want to hear it? Fuck you. But you finally get to hear Twist. You finally get to hear what that is. And then Porno Creep. Good. I think it's Porno Creep that really sold it for me on this album, because there's just that instrumental that really, like, weird, funky, bass line, and just all that is just great. And Good God, just the track list on this thing is just ridiculous. No Place to Hide, the Ice Cube cover Wicked with Chino Moreno from the Deftones, Lowrider, Ass Itch. Just phenomenal album. So yeah, for me, coming in at number 9 on my top 10, Korn, Life is Peachy.
Sorry, I was muted there. Hell yeah, dude. Phenomenal album. You've heard my story about how much that album means to me. I'm glad that was on at least in your top 10. That is a great record. I do like that one a lot. And yeah, man, good stuff. I can't argue anything. I think Good God might be my favorite one on that one. I don't know. Like Adidas was the one when that came out. I was just like, oh man, this song is. I never thought about, like, that it was great. It was great. And then, like you said, like the Ice Cube cover with Chino, there's the Lowrider cover, that song Kill You is pretty powerful. And then at the end, there's like the acapella version of Twist, the secret track.
Right. Yeah,
but
the secret track.
Yeah, I love that record so much. Korn just, they won me over as a teenager with that album. I wish I could have fit that somewhere in my top 20, but spoiler alert. Yeah.
Boo, Nick. Boo.
All right. Here, let me grab this one first before I show off. My number 9 is is a hip hop album that I absolutely adore. Um, it's just record. Just I remember when this came out. Yeah, I guess I was a freshman in high school, thinking to myself how good this was because everybody was a big Method Man fan. But this is a solo album from one of the members of Wu Tang Clan. This is Genius GZA Liquid Swords. This came out in 1995. Damn, I didn't put down what label this came out on, but this is just one pressing I have. I have a pretty unique pressing over here that I want to share. So I guess a couple years ago, some hip hop albums did this like thing where they did like a Marvel Comics like mashup cover. This one's called Contents of Champions. You can see it's a little lenticular cover, but it's like Iron Man, and then
yeah, that's rad.
This is this one came out in 2018 on Translucent Sea Glass. Geffen Records put this album out. I keep forgetting that. Yeah, Geffen Records signed the GZA and he put out this album that is fucking amazing. I love this record a lot. And like I said, I have that chest box set that you got me for Record Store Day a couple years ago. I have this unique one with this alternate cover. I even have that. I think in the box sets episode, I shared that one that I have that's got like the swords and it's autographed by him but it's like all 7 inches of like his singles. This album, so a lot of people should know this. I think I mentioned this before. On the original release of this album, I don't know if it's ever just hasn't been pressed on vinyl, but on CD at least, the final track is called Bible, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. It's never been put on any of on the pressings that I have on vinyl. I don't think even the OG pressing has it. I don't know why they never repressed that song on vinyl, but yeah, this is a great album. I love. There's a track on here called Gold. Where is it? Oh, it just doesn't even have the track listing. It just a bunch of lyrics. Anyways, Gold is probably one of my favorite songs on this record. The GZA from the Wu Tang Clan. This is easily my favorite solo album that any of the members of Wu Tang put out. I know a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people love Method Man. I think the most popular ones that came out were either like ODB's first album, Brooklyn Zoo, or Ghostface Killer's Iron Man, or Raekwon's Iron Chef. A lot of people love that one. I, for some reason, love this one. A couple years ago, I was very lucky enough to see GZA, Raekwon, and Ghostface all like in one night. They were performing, and they came out like one after another, like performing hits off these albums. And quite a fucking night. I was like right up front, got some great photos and video. But
nice.
Yeah, GZA Liquid Swords. Even though this doesn't say that on the back, it's got the real art and stuff. But this is my number 9 album of all time.
That's definitely a great hip hop album. Again, I wasn't as familiar with it as you were, and your enthusiasm for it. Whenever I picked up that box set for you, like I listened to it that day, and I'm just like, I don't think I have Nick's address. I think maybe I should hang on to this. Like this is a good album, you know. But
yeah, no, that's an incredible one. It's just, I don't know what to say. There's a lot of good hip hop albums. I know he wasn't one of the best. Like he didn't have like, I don't know, Pharrell or whoever, Rick Rubin producing his albums back then, so they weren't like as huge as, you know, Jay-Z or whoever. But like he absolutely, you know, I think the GZA or the RZA produced a lot of these albums actually. But the beats were great. It was like a Wu-Tang album, but like I just, that album from start to finish is one of my favorite hip hop albums. It's really cool, really good record.
absolutely.
I've seen him perform it with a live band right before COVID happened.
They did that at Psycho Las Vegas a couple years back. Whenever Pig Destroyer and Dying Fetus and everybody at Full of Hell played, I think Jack from Bandit was there. I don't think Bandit played. I think Jack was just kind of there. But I remember hanging out with Jack and Blake. But I remember there was a set for that, and I didn't see it for whatever reason. I don't know if it just overlapped with something else or.
This guy I know from Chicago named Justin got a picture with the Jizza. He was just walking around the event, the fest. He just got a cool photo with him in the crowd, which I thought was awesome.
Nice.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, and that's great. I remember that fest that you and Blake sent me a really awesome photo in front of a Raiders logo.
In front of the Raiders logo. I remember that. It was all his idea.
Yes.
It was all Blake.
All right. Moving on. Number 8.
Number 8 already. Yeah, we're really flying through this episode. Number 8 for me is an album that came out my senior year of high school in 1997. This is absolutely one of my Desert Island albums. This is an album that from the first day I heard it has never gotten old, will never. This album will stand the test of time. I finally found it on vinyl. It might have been during the pandemic or like in 21 or I don't remember when I got it on vinyl, but whenever I did, I was ecstatic. And a little bit of foreshadowing before I mention this album. The shirt that I am wearing is also number 8, Snot, Get Some. I fucking love this album to pieces. I mean, I've always been a fan. Will always just adore this album. This is just one of those albums, and I'm probably sure I'm going to say this 7 more times throughout the rest of this episode. But yeah, this album, whenever I can't find anything else to listen to, this is one that always gets attention just because it is so ridiculously good. I got to see Snot on the side stage at Ozfest in '98. The summer of '98 on that tour. I can't remember. I think Limp Bizkit, of course, Limp Bizkit was on that tour. I can't remember who else was on the lineup, but yeah, Tool. I actually got to see Snot perform. Was it? Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, Tool.
Yes, Tool, Megadeth, Incubus, System of a Down, Melvins. They were all there. I was at the very last show of that tour.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for being my my voice of reason. Yes, that all sounds very, very familiar. Yes. Anyway, Snot performed. This album is just so good. Joyride, The Box, Snooze Button, I Just Lie. I mean, dude, it just Get Some of These, Mr. Brett, Get Some Keys. My Balls, Your Chin. I mean, just dude, this album is like almost like a rite of passage, like, you know, for punk or new metal. I don't even really consider these guys to be new metal. I never consider these guys to be in that same genre as new metal. Never. And I will not. I refuse to categorize these guys as new metal. They were something different in my eyes, and I will never look at them in the same lines of like Korn or Limp Bizkit or whatever. These guys were something different. So to me, anyway, but yeah, number 8 in my top 10 with Dobbs on the cover. May Dobbs rest in peace. May Lynn Straight rest in peace. Snot, Get Some.
Hell yeah, dude. Those are absolutely some killer songs on that record. After Snot disbanded, Sonny and Tumor joined a band called Amen, and just recently over the weekend we lost the singer Casey Chaos of Amen. Yeah. So rest in peace to Casey. First tattoo I ever got was Amen, and they were the first band that ever took me on their bus, take me backstage. They were so nice to me. They totally let me fanboy it out. And I remember meeting Tumor because I guess Straight Up had already come out yet at this point. I can't remember, but like he'd given me a lot of like stickers and shit. He was real nice to me that night, and just
nice.
Shout out to those guys. Shout out Snot, and yeah. Alrighty, my number 8, also an album that came out in the '90s. One of probably my favorite albums. For a couple of years, I used to deliver pizzas, and every Friday I would just listen to this album. This album just pumped me the fuck up. This is one of the best albums I've ever owned in my life. This album came out in the year 1999 by a band from Brooklyn, New York called Candiria. This album is called The Process of Self-Development. This album is just, I cannot, if you've not listened to this, what the fuck is the matter with you? I mean, I rarely like force it on people. So the best way I can describe this band, I mean, they were labeled as a hardcore band, but like he raps, there's jazz, there's a lot of jazz. There's rapping every couple songs. I'm trying to think what else is in here, but a lot of experimental stuff. But if you've ever seen the guy who plays drums with this band, his name is Ken Shock. He looks like he's swimming. How far back he pulls and when he hits and shit, and like this band is incredible. There's a cool video of them somewhere on the internet of playing. I guess it's Temple of Sickness, where his one of his beaters on his kick drum breaks and he like fixes it mid song and then they just come right back into it. It's just so they were such a pro band.
Yeah.
They finally pressed it on vinyl in 2023 on their label Rising Pulse Records. 3 times again, 148 pulled, Method of Expression, Temple of Sickness, Mathematics, Work in Progress, which is with Jamie Josta from Hatebreed and some other gentleman I can't remember who. Matter, Antimatter, Cleansing, Elevating Madness, down to the last element, the process of self-development and leaving the atmosphere. This is a really cool fucking record. It's just it takes you on a whole fucking trip. I broke out the green pressing. Looks all fucking wild there.
Oh, nice.
The center label's pretty neat. They did that side like yeah. I mean this. Happy to own this on vinyl. When I bought it, I bought 2 copies and I listened to them and just yeah. I can't say enough great things about this album. This band in general is just incredible. I think in the last episode I shared some of the last pressing that they put out of one of their albums from I guess it came out in 2004, but this one's a 90s album, 1999. Candiria, Process of Self-Development. Yeah, if you don't know about this album, Jesus Christ, check it out. Dave Whitty plays backup drums on a track somewhere on this album.
Of course Dave does. Dave's on fucking everything.
Yep.
especially in the early days. Couldn't get away from him.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Like Candiria was, I mean, they flew over my radar. I was not familiar with Candiria until, of course, you've talked about them numerous times over the years, and your enthusiasm for that album in particular, whenever it came out, you were like, "You've never heard of Candiria? You need to listen to this." Oh my god! And I did, and it's good. It's very diverse and all over the place. And Ken Shock is a phenomenal drummer. And
insane. He does drum videos on his YouTube channel, but he's got an Instagram channel where he uploads like clips and everything. And so, yeah, he's something else. That guy, he's real unique drummer, awesome human being too. Real nice guy, really nice guy.
Right on.
Yeah. All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Number 7.
I think I'm pretty much. I'm not going to give it away. I mean, there's a theme to the rest of my list, but we'll let you figure it out as the episode goes along. Number 7 for me is an album that came out in 1994. I believe that was summer before my freshman year. I want to say freshman year of high school. This is the sophomore album from this particular band, and my best friend and I, Jamerson, I've mentioned several times over the you met Jamerson. Anyway, my best friend since 1994. Him and I have gotten into the discussion about which is the better album, the debut album or the sophomore album from this band, and I don't give a shit what he says. I love Stone Temple Pilots' Purple. I love this album. It almost seems like the band found their sound, from the they were trying to break away from the grunge stereotype that they got with the that they had labeled with Core, where they were being compared to like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and everything, and they were trying to go a little heavier on this album. And of course has its softer moments. There's Pretty Penny, that's an acoustic song, but a lot of crunch, a lot of just riffs on this album. And then the closing track, the ever popular 12 Gracious Melodies, is a fun listen. It's a fun way to wrap up the album. But as far as like the popular songs on this, of course, everybody knows Big Empty. That was from the Crow soundtrack. And Vaseline is still gets a lot of airplay on like Sirius XM or whatever. Vaseline is one of the more popular songs. Interstate Love Song, it had its big hits. I'm not going to say it didn't, but the stuff like Meat Plow and Army Ants and Silver Gun Superman, this is a good album. I love this album. I got to see Stone Temple Pilots once and with Weiland in 1998 or 99, and I think this was closer towards the end of the band, or one of the times that the band called it quits. I saw them with the Black Crowes and Lenny Kravitz in 99, and it was not their best show that they'd ever played. Like, they were real slow and they were off tempo. They were just not firing on all cylinders. But still, I got to see Stone Temple Pilots with Scott Weiland, so I'm very excited about that. That I have the street cred of being able to say I saw the original lineup back in the day, even though it was towards the end of the band. But yeah, Stone Temple Pilots, a lot of memories with this album. Has always been one of my top albums of all time, and yeah, I love Purple. Number 7, Stone Temple Pilots, Purple, and this just celebrated its 30th anniversary, I guess it would be, since it came out in '94. They released for Record Store Day, they released a Purple Rarities collection, which featured like demos and acoustic versions of songs, and it has the ever elusive, that's never been released on vinyl before, their Dancing Days cover.
I love that.
Which is really cool to have on vinyl. And whenever the Record Store Day list was released a couple months back or whatever it was, scrolling through the list and just kind of yeah, holy shit, Purple Rarities, have to have it, got it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome album. Awesome album. So.
My sister loved that band. She I feel like she would have left her then boyfriend, now husband, for Scott Weiland if she could have. No, that's a cool record for sure. I think you're right. They broke away hard from the debut album Core with that sound that they went with on that record, and they had a lot of radio hits, a lot of music videos, and a great deal of success after that album came out. I guess, did we mention Big Empty? I mean, like, that was the one that before that album had even come out, the Crow soundtrack, whenever you'd see the commercials for that on TV or the trailers for that on TV, they always had Big Empty as like the music in the background, and like,
that was the song.
Man, oh man, that song was so fucking good. And like, yeah, like they did eventually make a music video for it. It should have been like the song for that album, for that soundtrack, but they eventually came out with it.
Yeah, just to get a little off topic, that soundtrack is amazing. And I mean, there's a lot of really great tracks on the Crow soundtrack. But yeah, you're right. As far as like being the solo song, like the spokesman theme for that movie, it should have been Big Empty. Absolutely,
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was in the 7th grade, and I remember every time, like, when I see that movie posters, I think about that song. So, All right, my number 7, and before I start here comes Jeff, the eyebrow. Get ready, pal. We're about to start.
All right.
My number 7 from 2002 on Relapse Records.
All right. Touche, Nick.
It starts. We kind of man, I was hoping we were going to hit the same number with this one. But look, this album is fucking phenomenal. I slept on this band. I'm going to tell this quick story. The first time I ever heard of Sulpholic Carnage, a buddy of mine had gotten kicked out of a Lamb of God show at this club called Jack's, and he broke into someone's car and stole a copy of uh, Exploiting the Dysfunction, and we went home and listened to it, and we didn't know what we were listening to or how to wrap our heads around it. I think maybe a year later, my buddy Cliff bought this CD and he played it for me, and I was like, it sounds too much like Nile. And I don't know what the fuck I was saying because like I was just being ignorant. I went and saw these guys years later, and I think it was 2006 with A Life Once Lost at the Auto Bar, and this fucking band stole the show. I remember just falling in love with them and coming home and posting my videos and having to talk to you about what song is this, what song is this. This record just like it's so incredible. Man, I can't pronounce half of these fucking songs. What the fuck, guys? I mean, we'll go with like the obvious ones like Black Metal Sabbath and Lucid Interval on here. I like Pseudo. That one's really fucking cool. Anthropemesis, the intro on this record. What is it? I don't know how to fucking say it. Sorry. If you just listen to this record, start to finish, it's great. It's a phenomenal one. Coincidentally, like Jeff in the last episode, I broke out my red vinyl. It looks red, right? I broke out this red vinyl that I have of it. I have a clear pressing somewhere. It's back there on my clear shelf, somewhere in the front there where the C's are for Sulpholic.
And here it is. Here's the drum roll.
I got a test press, not just one. I got two. I bought one years ago on off of eBay, and then a couple of years later, our good pal Mr. Steve Goldberg sent me one. I got the note sitting here in the back that I got from him still. Hey Nick, I came across an extra test press of Lucid Interval. Wanted to surprise you with a gift. Steve Goldberg fucking rules. Dr. Goldberg, you're the man. Please come on our show. I love this album so much. It scored pretty low for, on my list, number 7, because this album is incredible. I saw them perform so many of these songs live. It is insane. I just want to hold this up some more because just this artwork is so fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it
absolutely is. On the CD, it's like an eye. It's all orange with just some eye. And when you unfold it, that's, like, I never figured all that out. I think they've always done that, like different artwork from the CD and the vinyl. But shout out to this band. They're from Colorado, Denver, Colorado. They fucking rule. I just, Jeff is more of a fan and friend of these guys than I am, but like, this album in particular, it's something special to me. It means the fucking world. It just, I could put this on and not skip a track and just be like, oh, this is so fucking good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And here.
There we go. Yeah.
Like so much, I mean, fucking.
So much love for this band on our show because this record and everything else that they put out is great. But like, I've got to throw so much smoke up their asses for this one because this record it's so fucking good. I don't know what to say. Like, I had a friend once tell me that he did acid listening to this album, and when the Black Metal Sabbath part came on, he lost it. He couldn't handle it anymore. And I was like, yeah, he said the part where with the Twin Peaks, the fire watch me. I don't know the Twin Peaks movie. I can't remember what the movie
Fire Walk with Me.
There you go. The sample starts off in that song, and he didn't know what was going on. And then this song goes into that black metal part. And he couldn't handle it anymore. He told me, but I was like, that is fucking rad. That's a great story. She shared that on our show. I can't remember what guy this was. Some dude from years ago that I met at a show. But yeah, Sulpholic Carnage, Lucid Interval. That is my number 7.
And again, what an album it is. As far as The Good Doctor and test presses and all that. Back in before the pandemic in February of 2020, I came across 2 copies of it. I come across 2 copies of the test press. One of them I kept for myself, and the other one I bought intentionally to give to the Good Doctor. He had told me that he had no test presses for any of Sulpholic's albums at the time. And I flew to Los Angeles with a copy of that test press. And whenever I went to the Bungles sound, whenever I went to the sound check with Travis Ryan, because Cattle opened for Bungle, I went with Travis and I brought Steve a copy of that test press and gave it to him. And he was just like, oh my God, is this Lucid Interval? And it was just, and now he's got him to, he can build forts with him in his house, I guess. I don't know.
You'll have to send him
But yeah,
upon.
that was a good story between Steve and I. Is that I was the very first person to give him a test press of Lucid Interval. And yeah, that was what really like solidified our friendship. I mean, we've been friends for a long time, but that was just like, dude, that's amazing that you got me a test press for this album. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Steve Goldberg, I have your number, buddy. You keep your phone on because I'm going to hound you until you do our show.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on. Number 6.
Number 6. Okay, so this is where the shit is really going to start getting deep. Okay, this is really probably going to piss a lot of people off. It's probably going to piss my co-host off because there was only one album from this band in the rest of my list, and whenever I reveal which album I think is their top album, I'll be surprised if Nick doesn't just drop off and Nick just doesn't want to do this episode anymore, but we'll see what happens. Coming in at number 6 for me in the top 10, Alice in Chains, Tripod. Not Dirt, not Facelift, not anything. Tripod. This album, okay, the way that I will put this is an incredible album, and none of the songs on this really got overplayed. My biggest gripe with Dirt was that at one point I got tired of hearing Rooster. I got tired of hearing Them Bones. I got tired of hearing Wood. At one point in my life, Tripod has all of the angst and the energy that every Alice in Chains album has, and I never got tired of any of the songs on this album. Grind, Sludge Factory, Heaven Beside You, again would probably be the only one that would get like overplayed, that somebody would get tired of hearing, but I never did. Shaming You is just a beautiful, beautiful fucking song. Goddamn, So Close Nothing song. Dude, it's silly, you know. It gets stuck in your head like peanut butter on the brain. It's so Frogs, especially Frogs, one of the best sludge songs ever written, ever. And I know that I brought this up with Soundgarden Super Unknown with 4th of July being, one of the first sludge songs that I ever heard. Frogs, dude, it's just doomy and sludgy and God, it's just so depressing and it just dark and just fuck, this is a good album. But yeah, this is my absolute favorite Alice in Chains album, and it's their last one. I mean, it was their swan song. It was what they called it a day with, and it was a very beautiful, poetic, artistic, fitting closing chapter of Alice in Chains. Coming in at number 6, my top 10, Alice in Chains, Tripod. Or Alice in Chains, self-titled or Grind or whatever people call it, but I've always referred to it as Tripod because of the three-legged dog.
Yeah. Great album. Great fucking album. I love that album a lot. That was the last time they did with Lane. Because a couple of years.
Sorry. Yeah, let me clarify.
At some point, they did reunite in the early 2000s, and and with a gentleman by the name of William Duvall, who does a great job of covering Lane's vocals, but he's got a great voice, and they put out some unique, cool songs and good albums with him as well.
I'm not well versed in the Duvall. I kind of checked out after that one. Honestly, I'm being honest, 100% honest. I am not a fan of the new Alice in Chains. Good for them for continuing on, but it's not for me. Yeah. I've tried, and I'm that guy.
Okay.
And there goes our fan base. I'm losing. I'm getting hate mail already. I can already tell. Sorry, Lane or nothing.
All right, moving on. Excuse me. My number 6. Here comes again, Jeff.
Oh, you're getting the eyebrow again? Come on. Oh, I knew that was coming. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that was coming.
2002's "Song for the Deaf" by the band Queens of the Stone Age. You know, I didn't argue with Jeff at all. I thought he was going to have this a lot lower on the list. I was hoping that these would be our same numbers. Actually, I really was hoping his number 6 would be this album. Like Jeff pointed out in his top 20 first half of this countdown, this is one great fucking album. If there's ever a concept record, this is the one to listen to. I believe Casey Chaos of Amen was one of the radio DJs on this. I think it's the very first one. I'm not sure. You Ain't Worth a Millionaire, but I feel like you ain't worth $1, but I feel like a millionaire. No One Knows. First It Giveth. Song for the Dead. Jesus Christ, the drums in the beginning of that song have to be the best drums that Dave Grohl has ever played.
Agreed.
Skies Falling, 6-Shooter, Hanging Tree, Go With the Flow. I love that music video and that song, Go With the Flow. Reminds me of this girl that I dated the summer this album came out. Gonna Leave You. There's a Spanish version of that song that's fucking incredible, but Gonna Leave You is a great fucking song. Do It Again, God Is in the Radio, another love song. Song for the Deaf, Mosquito Song. I mean, Jeff read this playlist last time. I had to do it too because just there's no doubt this from start to end, great fucking record. I love this band so much. I love this album so much. I first time I saw them live, I hated them, and then a couple of months later, I worked at a record store and heard Rated R, and I just fell in love with it. And then when I found out they were doing an album with Dave Grohl on drums, it didn't sell me any more on it. I still wanted to buy this because I was a fan of what I'd heard before, but I did not know what I was going to get when I heard it. And man, like years later, still what is it, like 22 years later, this record just it's a desert island album for me. In my top 10, my number 6, Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf. Just a who's who of what musicians on this record. But yeah, I know Jeff had it a little higher up in his list, but you know that's why I had to give you that eyebrow.
It was there because it is an amazing album. An amazing album. It is. Absolutely.
For sure. I mean, like, man, like I don't know what to say. Like I remember when I worked at Tower Records, and I was they would get like a lot of British magazines that most magazine stores don't get. So they got like NME and Kerrang, and they covered this band so much, and they were fucking awesome. I'm so happy that I continued to listen to them because I was like a full blown metalhead at the time, and although I was listening to a lot of new metal and starting to listen to death metal, I did need that like proper balance of something else. And Queens of the Stone Age, I guess you would say they're a rock band, but like they're a damn good fucking rock band. Great musicians, great songwriting, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, aside from Villains, they really don't have a band.
I'm not a big fan of the self-titled, the very first one.
I love, dude. I mean, like, and we could go all day on and off about this, but I mean, the self-titled is great, Rated R is great, but Songs for the Deaf is absolutely like top shelf for sure.
I don't like saying No One Knows is like such a great song. Like it's like you said, there's overplayed songs. That one gets played on the radio more than any one of their songs. I don't like that one as much as the rest of the album. It's not that I hate that song. I won't ever skip it, but like that song is like the Smells Like Teen Spirit of that record, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like
absolutely, it is.
So many more better songs on that record. It's like I said, it's a whole trip, a whole journey. If you go on a road trip, pop that album on.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the desert.
Yeah, and late night.
Late night on peyote. Let's just keep throwing scenarios in this. Like,
all right, real quick before we move on with our list, we got some honorable mentions here to go with. Jeff,
and I am so thankful for these honorable mentions because one of these two, one's an EP and one's an album. And the album, like, whenever I was making this list, I was like, First off, which album do I pick? Because my favorite album for this particular band varies from day to. We'll get into that in a minute. My first honorable mention that did not make the list, and I think it's just because it's just 4 songs. Why it didn't make the list? Because there's other full albums that should be there. I flew to New York for the very first time to see this EP being performed with Mike Patton whenever the Dillinger Escape Plan were playing their final shows. Irony is a Dead Scene. Irony is a Dead Scene. I have the fucking tattoo of the little boy on the cover. I love this EP so much. And in 2017, my wife and I, like, whenever I told Melanie that I wanted to fly to New York to see the Dillinger Escape Plan perform with Mike Patton, I immediately expected a no. I immediately expected to, like, let's just fly to New York, see the show, and then fly home. Because that's exactly what we did. We flew to New York, took an Uber from the airport to the hotel, took an Uber from the hotel to the venue, went back after the show was over, went from the venue back to the hotel, back to the airport, and flew home. We didn't see New York. We drove past Carnegie Hall. We drove past Times Square. We were like, oh, cool, there it is. Didn't get to see any part of New York. We got to see the Brooklyn Bridge, and we both, I think I pissed both of our pants while we were on the Brooklyn Bridge at 7 o'clock at night with this Uber driver that was a New York native. Irony is a Dead Scene. I'm rambling. I love this album so much. I love this EP. This is Mike Patton's involvement on this EP was what introduced me to the Dillinger Escape Plan, and I cannot thank him enough for being my favorite vocalist in the world and introducing me to my favorite live band ever. Because I got to see Dillinger, I don't know, 16 or 17 times throughout the years, and every time was just a spectacle getting to see Dillinger Escape Plan live. But yeah, my first honorable mention, all 4 songs, Hollywood Squares, Pig Latin, When Good Dogs Do Things, and the Aphex Twin cover, Come to Daddy. And whenever they played in Brooklyn, they also played Malpractice.
When good dogs do bad things.
Is that what I said?
You said when good dogs do things.
When good dogs do things. When bad dogs do good things. When bad good do dog things.
Yeah. Great EP for sure. Love Dillinger. My first honorable mention is a band probably people are going to say is one of the most overrated bands in the world. They may possibly well be, but when I was in the 6th grade and this album came out, it fucking stole my world. It changed my world. It changed everything. A lot of the music, the bands that I was listening to at the time, they went away because of this fucking album. I'm, of course, talking about the 1991 DGC Sub Pop album of Nirvana's Nevermind. People are probably shocked that this didn't make my list at all, but this is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard as a kid. I remember it changing my fucking world. Smells Like Teen Spirit music video was insane. It was like probably one of those like songs that was like #1 on so many lists for so many years. In Bloom, the drums on that record sound fucking amazing. Come As You Are, a bit of a ballad, but a really cool song. Breed, Lithium Poly, Territorial Pissings. I love that song. That song blows my fucking mind. A little cool story. The intro of that track, it's so they recorded this at Sound City Studios, and there's like an intercom system throughout the entire studio. And Chris Novoselic got on and did that. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. And they recorded it and put it on the intro of Territorial Pissings. Drain You, Lounge Act, which is my favorite song on this record. There's a lot of great tracks on this. But Lounge Act is my favorite. Stay Away, On a Plane, and Something in the Way, which has become a fucking huge hit the last couple of years. I do that Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. Yeah, this record, iconic. This artwork, this album, this little douchebag kid started suing the band because he was pissed that his penis is in there. He just shoot his parents. Sorry, kid.
Get a job, hippie.
Very much. This album fucking rules. I mean, like, I love this band so much. I'm a little ashamed that I didn't put this one or In Utero on my list, but I just can't keep going on about like how this band affected me. But like, yeah, I just had to mention it because they are an amazing band in my book. I don't care if you like them or not, if they were too generic for you or whatever. Champ Morgan. But that is one of my first honorable mentions. Yeah, thumbs down.
Champ Morgan. And since you were bent over doing the thing, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since we are really getting into the whole, this band didn't make the list, this album didn't make the list, and we're really gonna start pissing people off here. This second album in the honorable mentions is kind of related to the previous honorable mention that I did with the Dillinger Escape Plan. This album came out on August 25th of 1988, which Dillinger Escape Plan wrote a song about for this album, about this band. Metallica and Justice for All did not make the list because, first off, Ride the Lightning has been mentioned so many times on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Master of Puppets has been mentioned so many times on this show. Who has ever brought up And Justice for All? Maybe once, maybe twice, maybe, here and there. But this wasn't the only reason why I picked this. My favorite Metallica album, like I said, it fluctuates. It depends on the day of the week or what type of mood I'm in, because it could be Kill 'Em All, it could be Justice, it could be Master of Puppets, it could never be Lulu, it could never, but this, for right now, this week, today, especially because of the enthusiasm I got for the To Live Is to Die shirt that I got from Possession Press, really just prompted me to give this album another full listen and to really show my appreciation for And Justice for All, because hateful fucking album, mean and just angry and just, it is so good. But because of the shirt that I bought from Possession Press, To Live Is to Die, I gave that another real close attention. I gave that a whole new perspective. I always knew that it was about Cliff, and I always knew it was their song to Cliff, but I never really looked at it the same way after I just listened to it a couple of weeks ago. And for right now, today, as of whatever day it is in the new year of 2025, And Justice for All is my favorite Metallica album, but I could not figure out where to put it in the list, and I could not figure out which album to put in the list, even if I could pick a favorite Metallica album to put in the list. So honorable mention, number 2, And Justice for All, Dillinger Escape Plan song 82588.
Oh yeah, great album. Man, I have some memories of listening to that one a lot when I was a kid. But yeah, moving on. Let's get this going. My final honorable mention: Dillinger Escape Plans, Calculating Infinity. Yeah, no, dude. As soon as you broke out the EP, I was like, I hope he does. Good for you. I was working at Tower Records in I guess the year 2000, and this was on a listening station, and I put it on the headphones. This is one of 3 records that it took me maybe 5 seconds to just decide if I wanted this record or not. And I turned it off and went and bought the CD. For many years, I only had the picture disc pressing of it. In 2015, Relapse finally pressed actual vinyl of it. This one's got cool cover on it. Sugar Coated Sour, that song. I remember the first time hearing it. Never heard anything like that in my life. So fucking crazy. 43% Burnt. Everybody should know that fucking song. That is the anthem of this band. Jim Fear. The next one's just a bunch of symbols. Destro Secret, The Running Board, Clip the Apex, Accept the Instruction, Calculating Infinity, which is a really cool instrumental track. 4th Grade Dropout, Weekend Sex Change, and Variations on a Cocktail Dress. This record is so fucking good. At some point, some good friends of mine became kind of good friends with the drummer of this band. His name was Chris Penny. He left after Miss Machine shortly before Ironworks came out. But that dude was so nice to me. I got to see them live and you go backstage a couple times and see some behind the scenes shit with that band. This is this cool, weird 2018 repress that I got. This album
Very
is
nice.
just this is a great record. This is, if you don't know about this band, this is like Jeff said, like it's something else. Not like anybody else I've ever listened to before, and I don't think anybody can hold a torch to what this band does live, because their live shows are insane. I filmed them doing some ridiculous shit live, and I was at their very last show before they reunited with the OG singer on this record, Dimitri, and they've been playing this album live or doing songs live lately. So Dillinger Escape Plan didn't make my list. I love this band though; they're fucking awesome, and that is my honorable mention number 2.
Yeah, Ben Weinman, do our show.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Vinyl Bang, and show us your records. But don't talk
For
about
sure.
Dillinger, because we've covered it enough. We've covered Dillinger enough, but
All right, we're halfway through our top 10 here, Jeff. Number 5.
Number five is an album that came out in 1991. Is anybody picking up on the theme so far? That I said, for the remainder of the episode, it's all going to be same theme. This album came out in 1991. This was my introduction to the band. My very first impression of this band was a music video on MTV whenever I was 11 years old for a song called Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, and I have not looked back since I got a copy of Sailing the Seas of Cheese, Primus Sailing the Seas of Cheese on cassette. I have been a lifelong fan since I was 11. I have seen these guys 24 times, 25 times. I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. I've seen these guys a lot. This album is absolutely my favorite. It was the first album that I ever got into, and it remains to this day still my favorite album. Above Pork Soda, above Tales from the Punch Bowl, all of them. Sailing the Seas of Cheese, Here Come the Bastards, Sergeant Baker, American Life, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver. The 24th time that I saw Primus, I saw them a weekend. I saw them in Madison, Wisconsin, and then in St. Louis. In St. Louis, they played Is It Luck for the very first time of the tour, and they never played it again. St. Louis is the only band, or the only town, the only show that got Is It Luck on the 2024 tour, and it was fucking incredible. I got the set list and blah, blah, blah. But Tommy the Cat, those damn blue collar tweakers, Fish On. I mean, dude, this is an incredible album. Absolutely will always be my absolute favorite Primus album. Long live Primus. Long live Les Claypool. And sail them seas of cheese, boy, because they were good stuff. It is good fucking album. Good stuff. Awesome album. Awesome artwork. Yeah. Number 5, Sailing the Seas of Cheese. Is that also your number 5, Nick? Do you want to go ahead and reveal that?
It is not. I do like that album a lot. I think it's probably my favorite Primus album. Definitely some good jams on that one. All right, my number 5 by a local band that some recent guests on our show had talked about, that I'm just like an absolute, like I said, I'm a huge fan of this band. They're from Rockville, Maryland, but I guess they kind of claim now as to be from Baltimore. I'm talking about Dog Fashion Disco, Anarchist of Good Taste. This album originally came out in the year 2001 on Spitfire Records. This band just kept putting out albums after that label kind of folded. And then I think when vinyl started to become a big deal, people were reaching out to them like, you guys should put Anarchist on vinyl. They could not get a hold of anybody from that record label, therefore they don't have the masters for it. So what they just did is they went and re-recorded this album and then pressed it on vinyl for their fans. As our friends from the Great Vinyl, shout out to Brooklyn and Dylan, they mentioned that in their episode. Leper Friend, 9 to 5 at the Morgue, Mushroom Cult. The original version of Mushroom Cult had Serge Tankian from System of a Down. I believe the story with that was as they went to see System of a Down live and gave him a demo tape. And then he had read somewhere that they were recording an album, so he reached out to them to see if there's anything he could do. And said, "Sure, do you want to be on the Mushroom Cult?" So he said, "Yes." How fucking rad is that?
That is awesome.
System of a Down is a huge band, and I don't know how many of their fans know about that he was on that original song, but cool stuff. Antiquity, Small Rewards, Headless, which is my favorite song off this record. Really cool, like serial killer type song. Valley Girl Ventriloquist might be a lot of people's favorite song off this album. Pour Some Urine on Me, Vertigo Motel, Cartoon Autopsy, and Pink Riots. A year after this album originally came out, they put out a song with a bonus track called Albino Rhino, which was pretty fucking cool. This repress that I have, this first pressing of it that they re-recorded, came out in 2018 on Razor to Wrist Records, and I believe it is a Wax Mage vinyl. That is some crazy looking shit there. Other side is the Shining, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This record just it's insane. It's such a good fucking album. I just recently purchased this on vinyl because I wanted to have it in my list. I knew you and I were doing this this countdown at some point. Although this isn't the original recording that I enjoy so much, I do enjoy this one, and I'm happy to own this in my collection. Shout out to this band. Shout out to Todd Smith, one of the funniest frontmen I've ever seen in my life. Great vocalist. If you see that this band is coming live, go check them out. I've listened to this album so many times over the years. I used to work in a pizza shop. I remember I would like read the lyrics to the album, and they had these little cartoons inside the booklet, and every little cartoon was like for one of the songs. I remember just being able to like, just because I knew the lyrics so well, I knew which cartoon was for which song. But I've seen this band live a couple times, and they're just every time so fucking good. It's a weird album to be so high up in my list because they're not one of my favorite bands, but this album means a lot to me. There was a time in my life where I listened to this so much, and I knew that if I again was ever cast away to a desert island, that if I had an opportunity, I would take this one with me. So coming in at number 5, Dog Fashion Disco, Anarchist of Good Taste. This, if you're wondering what they sound like, it's a little Mr. Bungley, but they do their own thing. They've got some really cool stuff. Like the Great Vinyl told us that Adultery record was it's a little like it's got some cool themes to it. Their songs are fucking hilarious and just like I said, Todd's a great vocalist, cool unique sound, and yeah.
Absolutely. That was the album that you played for me, right?
Mm-hmm. That's like I think when we hung out, I played the OG version because I wanted you to be able to hear that there. But
yeah. I being a huge Bungle fan over the years, I've always heard that name thrown around. Saying they were not necessarily ripoffs, but they were very Bungle-esque, and I just never took the initiative to listen to them. But they have their moments, and they're definitely. They definitely listened to Bungle growing up, and it's a good album.
The original stuff was ska, and then when that album came out, they changed it up a little bit more keyboards, less horns, but they did have like a saxophone in a couple of the songs on that album. I think "Pour Some Urine on Me" at the end of that song. There's a saxophone, and yeah, the song titles are funny. That song is great though. Go listen to that album. I mean, you laugh at these song titles, but somebody's going to watch this episode and go listen to that album and be like, "Yeah, he's right. That's a good record." I recommend I recommend the 2001 Spitfire version. That's the one that I heard and I fell in love with. But like I said, they re-recorded it and it sounds, the production's a lot better. So it just, there's some parts that may sound a little different because you can't recapture that magic, obviously.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So. Okay. We are here at number 4.
Number 4. Once again, early 90s, 1994. There is a reference to this album somewhere in my background, somewhere back here in this onslaught behind me, somewhere, some decoration. There is something resembling Nine Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral. Where do I even begin with this album? I mean, it is this thing, Halo 8, came out in 1994. I was not ready to listen to this album whenever I was 13 years old. Whenever I heard, I don't even remember what the first single from this was. I don't know if it was March of the Pigs, I think, was the first single released from this.
Closer.
Was it Closer?
Absolutely.
It may have been, but I was a huge fan of Pretty Hate Machine. A girl I was dating at the time was huge into Pretty Hate Machine and subjected me to them a lot through with Head Like a Hole and Ring Finger and Something I Can Never Have, and just I really fell in love with the band with Pretty Hate Machine. But the Downward Spiral, just again, just the dark concept of this album. It's just everything is just evil, and I mean, this album was like recorded in the Marilyn Manson house. The house that the Manson murders, were committed in or whatever. But I don't even know what to say about the Downward Spiral. I mean, just showing it should just be like, yeah, that fits at number 4 on Jeff's list, because it just makes sense that the Downward Spiral. I mean, it just the track list for this fucking thing. I mean, March of the Pigs, Heresy, Ruiner, The Becoming, which is absolutely one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs of all time. Reptile, Hurt. I mean, just phenomenal album. Absolutely one of my Desert Island albums. I have so many shirts. I've had so many shirts from this album in particular over the years. I've got the skateboard hanging up in the background. I have 4 or 5 copies of this on vinyl. Countless numbers on CD throughout the years, especially as a teenager, wear out a copy and buy another copy. Cassettes, I just everything. Nine Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral is one of the albums that I would not be who I am today without this album.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. Great fucking record. No, I remember that's a 1994 album, and I remember I guess I was in the 8th grade when it came out, but I was in the 8th grade when everybody had that same exact Downward Spiral shirt that I had, and I think the music video for Hurt is one of the coolest fucking music videos ever. Good album. My personal favorite for them is Broken. Maybe it's an EP, but I think that shit's insane. And I know you've talked about all your different awesome pressings of that on our show in the past. For those of you who don't watch, go back and look at some of the really cool, unique pressings that Jeff has of that album. The CD one, I think, was really cool. You shared that in the JR episode, right?
Yeah, the trifold where it's got the N, I, and the disc is the I and the 2 N's on both sides. And yeah,
I love that.
I mean, yeah,
that's a really cool. It's not a record, but that's a cool pressing of that album with the bonus songs, the extra songs.
Yeah, with the little mini disc. I mean, it's an original copy from 92, whenever Broken came out, I think. But yeah, the little extra disc with Physical and Suck. And yeah, dude, Nine Inch Nails they can do no wrong. There was a time where I fell out of Nine Inch Nails because I didn't catch on to the Fragile as well as everybody else did, and it just did not add up to what the effect that the Downward Spiral had on me. But I've gone back and rectified my ways, and phenomenal album.
Trent Reznor, do our show.
Trent Reznor, be on our show, please, and come to my house.
All right. My number 4 My number 4. This album is 1994, buddy. Here we go.
Here we go.
This is a record that just always is going to stand the test of time for me. This is my favorite album of this band's discography. I am talking about Pantera's Far Beyond Driven. Ooh, look at that, the risque cover. I think I shared this on our episode on our show once before because this we've opened it to the other side. It's this version, the one that you get normally when you buy the CD. But our good ex past member of the show and definitely the third member of Vinyl Bang, Alex Cha, got this for me as a birthday present years ago, and yeah, love this album. There's if you don't know, I think a lot of people like Vulgar Display of Power. That album is certainly a great one from start to finish as well. One of my favorite songs by Demons Be Driven is on that record. But this album debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts. It was the first metal album to ever do that. Pretty fucking big deal. Let's go here. Strength Beyond Strength, Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken, Good Friends, and a Bottle of Pills, which is essentially like a rap song that Pantera made. Not really, but like, if you listen to it, it's not like your normal metal song. Hard Lines and Sunken Cheeks, really cool song. I have a cool live bootleg. Actually, they put it out, the Dynamo 98. They did that song live, and it sounds pretty fucking awesome. Slaughtered, man, that song. 25 Years, Shedding Skin, Use My Third Arm, Throes of Rejection, and Planet Caravan, which is a Black Sabbath cover. I love Pantera. I don't give a shit what your opinion is of this band, whether they're too redneck or whatever. I don't give a fuck. This record was so fucking good to me. I remember as a teenager listening to it so much, and as an adult, I still stands the test of time for me. Rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul. It's a shame that they're not with us anymore. But this record, it changed my fucking life, man. Like I love a lot of metal bands, but this one, like, it's up there for me. It's an incredible record from start to finish. I don't skip any of these tracks. There's just, some really cool stuff on here. I remember going to a friend's house a lot back in the day where we were able to listen to Cypress Hill in his apartment without getting in any trouble. And I'd always ask him to put this record on because I love this album so much. And it used to piss everybody off. Like, let's listen to something else. Why do we always have to listen to Pantera? Because this album fucking rules. Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. That is my number 4 album of all time. Like I said, when I was choosing these records, these are definitely like, if I was cast away to a desert island, I was told to take my albums. That's how I chose these top 10 ones, because like it's a no brainer for me that this one was going to be so high up on my list, because,
right,
like I said, this is a good one. Classic fucking one.
I remember going to the day that album came out, or I don't even know if it was the day it came out or whatever, but my mom and I were in Hannibal, Missouri, and I asked her to take me to Sam Goody and get that album on cassette in my little Walkman in the back seat. And I remember having that on cassette and listening to Becoming in the back seat with headphones on that I knew she couldn't hear. I knew the music was not loud enough for her to hear, but whenever it started saying to Rise Beyond Jesus, I was like, I need to turn this down. I really need to make sure my mom can't hear this. Like, 13 years old in the backseat of the car, cowering in the backseat, praying that my mother could not hear the lyrics on that Pantera cassette. But yeah, I remember that vividly.
I said it'd be a miracle if she could understand what they're saying. I used to listen to stuff like that all the time, and my mom, I don't think she could understand it.
Oh yeah.
So,
mom would.
So, number 3 is where we are at right now, and Jeff, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty here. So, what we got?
We are getting down to the nitty gritty. I think this. I know the ship has sailed. I know this. We had one album, Nick. We had one album coming in at number 3. Released on October 1st of 1996. Nick Martin's number 18 on this countdown. Tool Anima is my number 3. My number 3 album of all time, Tool Anima. Man, what an album. Absolute best album from Tool. Love Tool, love Anima. I mean, this album is just, again, teenage years. I was 15 whenever this album came out. The memories behind it, the stories that go along with it. 46 and 2. One of the greatest songs ever written. Stinkfist, H, and I know that Nick mentioned this whenever he had it as number 18 in the last episode. The way that intermission goes into Jimmy, Anima, the title track that's spelled a little differently because the album is AENI and the track is AENEMA. Third Eye, where it opens up with Bill Hicks and Timothy Leary, and just, I mean, like, this album is this is a bootleg. This is a very obvious bootleg. Like Nick, I do not own an original $3,000 original test press, but this bootleg is fucking about the closest thing you can get to an official looking album. It looks, has the absolute feel. I mean, the cover is a little pixelated, but we won't hold that against them because it sounds incredible. The spine looks incredible. The gatefold, everything, the vinyl, it just, the inserts looks incredible. Yeah, Anima, love this album. And again, for the next 2 albums, Desert Island album, Tool Anima. And this is the one that, like, I didn't want to say in the last episode, like, oh, why is it my number 3 and your number 18? But that's okay. That's okay. We won't hold it against you. You're still my favorite. You're my favorite co-host on Vital Bag. Yes, you are.
No, I was hoping you would have that one and not Lateralis on your list, and I'm glad that you had it so high up on your list too. Because I'm not going to argue, Jeff. Like, if I stayed such a fan of Tool, that probably would have been like in my top 10 as well. But like,
yeah,
it didn't. There was a lot more albums that I listened to over the years that were just way more made more of an impact on me. But that one,
sure.
I'm not going to argue anything you just said there. That's a great fucking record. I'm glad that it's your number 3 because that is my favorite Tool album. Yeah, cheers, kudos to that one. That's no arguments here, man. Good. I'm glad you chose. Like I said, I'm glad you chose that, and not Lateralis or 10,000 Days, like most young people probably would have. But
I saw Jamerson the other night. I went and hung out with Jamerson, and I showed him the list, and he was like, "No Undertow." I'm like, dude, don't fucking start with me, dude.
that's a great fucking record,
no,
though.
it is, and I'm not going to debate that. But he was like, he asked me, he said, did you feel like you couldn't do 2 albums from the same band? And I'm like, I don't know. I probably could have.
Yeah, it's your list, but like I did that. I thought that same thing. I was like, man, I wonder if he's going to do that. I didn't. I made sure not to because, like, yeah, I feel you on that. Cool album. I'm happy that's on your list. My number 3 is something that I don't know. Maybe you're expecting this one to come or not. Who knows? This album originally came out in the year 1989 on Capitol Records. Beastie Boys. Paul Beastie.
Yes.
Probably one of the most like underrated hip hop albums of all time. This all folds out because it's like a panoramic shot that they took when they did this. Let me find each one of them are somewhere in here. All right, so all right. Well, like on the skateboard there is MCA, and then behind that red car is Ad Rock. There's Mike D standing right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Oh shit! I'm knocking my computer around here. And my record's about to fall on the ground. Let me. Thought there was another one. I guess yeah. They're all in that one photo there. This album is just. It's so fucking ridiculous. They basically met with the Dust Brothers, who had a lot of these songs already put out. They were what you would call nowadays mashups, where you just take like the drums and layer it on top of guitars and bass from like tracks that weren't like original tracks, and then they just went and rapped over these things. And there's a lot of Beatles on this record. There's a lot of crazy stuff. I don't have the track list in front of me. It's right here, but there's a lot of songs on this record. This is a purple pressing that came out. This is a repress that came out in 2019. Violet Translucent. Notable songs on this record because they did music videos for let's see here. Hey Ladies, Shadrach, Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun, and I believe those are the only ones they did. Oh, and Shake Your Rump, which is the second track on this record. I like that song High Plains Drifter. That's one of my favorite songs. It's a really cool story. I play that song every day and my cat comes running because he knows it's time for his wet food. Tons of great songs on that record. The Eggman, Blake Harrison once told me that's the best Beastie Boys song ever. It's a funny song about them going around egging people, throwing eggs at people. Hey Brooklyn's a really cool song. Yeah, they're just this. Oh, I should be holding this up while I'm talking, so you're not just looking at my ugly ass. This fucking record is insane. It's such a good record. It's a very unique one. Paul's Boutique, very unique album, very unique hip hop album. This is here on my top 3 because this record fucking rules. This band rules. Rest in peace to MCA. Yeah, Shadrach. That's a cool music video. They performed a live show and then MCA sketched frame for frame like the whole show, and then they like did it like it's like an artist rendering like in a court, you know. It looks fucking badass. It's such a cool stuff. Like the Looking Down the Barrel music video is pretty neat. It's just, you know, them driving around with a camcorder being goofballs. The Shake Your Rump video is really cool. They shot it, I believe, on the roof of Capitol Records. I could be wrong, but they set up 3 cameras and they just like they each would go to a camera or come to the other one, and it's while you know intermingles with each other, and it's really unique stuff, really cool stuff. Those guys make the coolest music videos, in my opinion, for bands from the 80s and the 90s. Like I thought Beastie Boys had like the coolest music videos out there. So
agreed.
Shout out to them. Good stuff on that. That came in at number 3 on my list.
Number 3. Melanie and I, we went to Paul's that corner. We went to Beastie Boys Corner earlier this year. We were in Brooklyn, and I said while we were in town, I wanted to see Beastie Boys Corner. That was dedicated to them in 21, 22. It wasn't too long ago, was it?
I think it was 22. That Beastie Boys Square is what it's called.
Beastie Boys Square, yeah, it had that dedicated to them, and I said, yeah, I want to go see the actual where the cover of Paul's Boutique was shot, and yep, I got to see it in person.
A couple years ago, it was like a month after I turned 40. My sister flew me up to New York with her because she was up there for the week, and we went for the 4th of July. And so we had a whole day, and she said, "We can do whatever you want." So we went to Paul's Boutique, which is just like some like corner shop now, but there's a nice, cool little like painting on the wall. And then when it changed to Beastie Boys Square, the artist who drew that thing on the wall, she drew a new one, so it's a new mural of them on the wall. And then we also went to Adam Yout Park, which is a park out there, and there's also a dog park, Adam Yout Dog Park, right next to it. So
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. There's quite a few Beastie Boys stuff out there in New York, but yeah, love that band so much. I'm glad that I was able to cinch them on this list. Like I said, like I know a lot of people like Check Your Head. That's probably their best album, but
Mhm.
Paul Critique, that album always did it for me personally. And
Yeah, and they had to be in there because it's Metal Nick. I mean, Beastie Boys had to be up there somewhere. So you done good.
For sure. Here we go. Number two.
Number two. All right, you can feel the tension. I am already sweating. How do I explain this? How do I hype this up? In the early '90s, MTV had what they called buzz clips for music videos. Do you remember buzz clips, Nick? Do you remember music videos that were buzz clips?
Yes, absolutely. I know. Oh man, I wish there was a channel on YouTube where we can watch all those old ones because some of those were hilarious to me.
Yeah, some of them were hilarious. The very first ever buzz clip was for "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Number two, coming in on my top 10 of the top 20. Number 2 album of all time, Nirvana, Nevermind, which Nick brought up earlier. We ain't mad at him. We'll just give him a little eyebrow and give him a little glare, and I believe even Melanie might even be glaring at him from the kitchen. I don't know, but Nirvana, Nevermind. This is the first album that I ever became obsessed with. This was the first album as a kid that I ever owned. It's the first album that I ever obsessed over. It's the first album that I ever wanted to have intentionally. It wasn't just something that I just heard a song from Huey Lewis and the News and got an album off Columbia House and was just yeah, this is okay. This is whatever. This is an album that my good friend growing up, Eric Wharton, brought over to my house before school one day and showed me the entire album before school, and I wanted to skip school and just listen to Nirvana all day. This is the first musical obsession I had. This album is it's my childhood, my teenage years, my everything. This is Nirvana will always be a major part of my life. It will always be a major part of my music collection, and Nevermind. Nirvana, Nevermind, number 2 album of all time. Nick did the track list earlier. In Bloom. In Bloom is my daughter's ringtone. I believe I've mentioned that before. Breed is my favorite song off of Nevermind.
Great song.
It is, and that song's also in Shoot 'Em Up with what's his name? I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, that Shoot 'Em Up, that's a really, really far-fetched guy movie that just far-fetched. It's very, very male-driven, but it's so good, dude. It's so good. But Breed is in that movie. I'm yes, I fucking love this song. You silly gun-shooting motherfucker that shoots stuff that shouldn't even be done. But yeah, what an album. I thought about breaking out the box set. I've got I can see it from here, the 10th anniversary or 20th or 30th or whatever it is. I've got all of them. Got all the box sets for Nevermind just because I love Nevermind. I thought about breaking that out, and I'm what? I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. Just show the artwork and it's
phenomenal fucking album. It changed my life. Like I said, it ruined bands that I was obsessed with before that album came along, and it certainly impacted me hard when he died. But
goddamn, the day he died tore me up. Me up. I remember where I was and all that, but that's a whole other episode.
All right, yeah. Nevermind. Great stuff. Good album. My number 2. We're on number 2 with me still. My number 2 is an album that was kind of high up on the list. It was a band that Jeff picked at number 6. My number 2 is Alice in Chains' Dirt. This album came out in the year 1992 on Columbia Records. This is a 2022 repress. I'll show you the color in a second. This album, it made me a fan of Alice in Chains. It changed the world for me. as far as like the big four of grunge bands, this band is it for me. This album is it for me. This record is so fucking good. Them Bones, Damn That River, Rain When I Die, Down in a Hole, Sick Man, Rooster, Junkhead, which is probably my favorite song on this record, Dirt, Godsmack, Hate to Feel, Angry Chair, Wood. I think there's another like a blank track after or before or after Godsmack, and I think they called it Iron Gland.
Iron Gland. Yeah, Tom Araya.
Yeah, Tom Araya from Slayer screaming on it. Look at these young fellas here. Rest in peace to Mike and Lane. This album is it's so fucking good to me. I remember my sister had it on CD. This was the summer of me going into the 7th grade, and she'd play it every morning in her bedroom, and I'd be downstairs watching TV or playing video games. And then when she would leave, I'd sneak up there and grab the CD and listen to it. And it was just so fucking good. All these years later, it still holds up for me. Yeah, I like I said, I have the 2022 repress on red vinyl.
Nice.
Like you said, Rooster is probably the most popular track. That song gets played on the radio all the time. I think, I don't know. There's some cool ones. Down in a Hole's a really good one. Dirt, Rain When I Die. I mean, that's one of those like real emotional ones, but it's just so fucking good. Sick Man. Yeah, this is when I was in middle school. Like I thought this, I liked Nirvana a lot. I was obsessed with them, but I thought this album was so much better than everything else that people were listening to. And it still stands the test of time for me. All these years later, people still talk about it. They've repressed it more than they have of any of their other albums. And
True.
That is my number 2. Alice in Chains, Dirt.
Now, the red one, was that the Walmart press?
I don't have the sticker on here, so I think it might be that, or I can't remember, because there's also like a yellow pressing that was for Europe, but I think it is Walmart. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know Walmart did a press, but I never got it. I don't know why I never picked it up, but yeah. It's a phenomenal album. I'm not in my thing earlier. I wasn't putting it down. It was just, it is a great album. Phenomenal album. I bought that album on a church youth trip.
And the way it ends with Wood, that's such a beautiful fucking song. I mean, like, I know the lyrics from that song start to finish. It's a great fucking song. I mean, it's just some deep shit that Lane sings about on this album. So, yeah, that's a high up one for me. Number 2.
Absolutely. Little off topic. Have you ever heard Opeth cover Wood?
I have not.
Dude, that's worth checking out. It's really good. Yeah,
maybe I will.
Yep, good one.
All righty, Jeff.
That's it. This is for all the marbles. This is what it all comes down to. This is 4 hours of listening to Nick and I ramble about albums. Number 1, and anybody that knows me, like, they know, what my number 1 album of all time is. Released in 1992 with such songs as Midlife Crisis, Land of Sunshine, RV, Jizzlobber, which is the greatest song ever written. Faith No More, Angel Dust. I discovered Faith No More with The Real Thing, with the video for Epic in 89 or 90, whenever it came out. And I owned The Real Thing on cassette. Whenever I got The Real Thing on cassette, I played the first 4 songs, and I was just like, is this the same fucking band? Like, how is this so diverse and everything? And whenever Angel Dust was released, I believe the video for Midlife Crisis was released before the album, and I was just so enthralled in this song and Patton's approach to vocals and just everything about this band was just so, again, dark and just ominous and just everything. And Angel Dust is no exception. I mean, this album is absolutely beautiful. Caffeine, Everything's Ruined, Malpractice, Be Aggressive, A Small Victory, Crack Hitler. I mean, it just Patton's approach for everything. Patton's vocals on this album is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This is a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece of an album. I could listen to this album over and over again for the rest of my life and never get tired of it, and never listen to another album and never get tired of this. This is, as I've shown before, I'm sure I've shown, the original master recording. Usually whenever I talk about this album, this is usually the recording that I bring up, and it just sounds incredible. This vinyl on the platter just sounds incredible. Number one, my top album of all time, of all 45 years I've been alive. This is it. Faith No More Angel Dust, number one. And the first time I ever met Mike Patton was with my co-host here, and it was an incredible experience getting to meet the man who has been my vocal idol. I'm not a vocalist. I don't attempt to sing anymore. I used to back in the day, but whenever I got to meet Mike Patton, I was with Nick, and it was just an incredible experience.
He was very nice to us.
Yes, he was. Yes, he absolutely was. So that's it.
Mike Patton, do our show.
Mike Patton, please do our show. And you especially come to my house. I will cook you dinner. And I am not married. My wife will be gone.
All right. Moving on. My number one. This is an album. This should be an obvious one, and this is going to piss people off because of all the records that I've listened to over the years. And I'll tell you the story as to why this is my number one album. I'm going to go with Metallica, Master of Puppets. I remember when Albert was on our show, he said this is album gets boring in the second half. That made me laugh. I understand what he's talking about. I feel the same way about two particular tracks on Ride the Lightning. But moving on, we'll get there. I was in the second grade, and I remember this guy who was 2 years older than me. I would go to his house after school. We used to listen to Appetite for Destruction and skateboard around his house in his basement a lot. And one night he spent the night at my house. We were going through my sister's drawer, which we should not have been doing, and we found this on cassette. And I remember putting it in and listening to it. And the intro for Battery I always remember the first impression was just like, ugh, this is so dull. And then when just like those heavy guitars and harmonies came in, it changed everything for me. I remember bringing that cassette over to a friend's house, and his dad saw it, and he's like, "You listen to Metallica?" Like his parents were judging me, like I brought drugs or a gun over there or something like that. I didn't know what was such a big deal. I was such a young kid. I don't know. I guess I understand why it was such a big deal now. But this record for me, I remember hearing it, and then just it changed everything. How I listened to music as a little kid. I was so young listening to this, so like I didn't know what I was listening to before. Basic rock or like edgy rock stuff like Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses. Then I heard this album, and I never heard anything thrashy like this before. So like, yeah, again, I was just a young kid. I was in the second fucking grade, believe it or not, and let's go. Battery, Master of Puppets, The Thing That Should Not Be, Welcome Home Sanitarium, Disposable Heroes. I've had a lot of people tell me that's their favorite song. Shout out to Melanie, Alex's wife, Alex Chaw's wife. She told me that she loves this song. She's a follower of our show. So Melanie, I'm giving you a shout out. Disposable Heroes. Leper Messiah, Orion, which is my personal favorite Metallica song. It's just instrumental, but it's a beautiful fucking song, man. Every time I listen to that song, it takes me back to like the around the time that I discovered this album, and a lot of memories that I had when I was as a kid listening to this tape. And then Damage Incorporated, which, man, like, again, like this is such a fucking great record, such a phenomenal release by Metallica. I truly do not care that this is Metallica is one of those generic metal bands or whatever. Don't give a fuck. I love this album. This is the Walmart Red. It doesn't look red at all. Battery Brick Vinyl is what it's called. My co-host, Mr. Grindstoffer, got me this as a gift once, I believe. Shout out to him. But this is it. This is my goat, my number one album of all time. If I was cast away to a desert island, I could not leave this one behind because I would never get bored of listening to this album from start to finish either. Like these are some quality fucking songs. Like I said, like I guess I talked about it with the Dr. Feelgood selection that I had in the last episode because I was a very young kid, and still to this day, when I listen to that album, it takes me back to a time and a place where I was, when that record came out, and like how obsessed I was with it. Same with this album. I remember just being in a place that time that year that I was listening to this album as a kid, and the reaction I was getting from people when they saw that I had this. This is the ultimate metal album in my opinion. I love this record. Um, Metallica is last year we saw them and they played Orion. That really made me happy. But they've evolved so much over the years since this album, and they've become like probably one of the biggest entities in music out there. But thank fucking God for this record. This album is my goat, my all time number one album. I don't have any shame in telling people this because like you can say what you want about what's your favorite Metallica album or what's your number one album of all time, but this is the record that influenced me, that made me stay a metalhead and never really like stray from the path. I mean, I listened to obviously some hip hop and some pop and whatnot, but like when I didn't get the name Metal Nick because I was listening to fucking hip hop all the time. But yeah, Metallica, Master of Puppets, the goat.
A superb album. It
I think
really is.
You've talked about this album more than anybody. I think because you brought up several pressings of this, and I've always been intrigued. You have like a Korean one with like that's missing certain tracks. You've got like a OG pressing that's all like scratched to all hell. So
Scratch the shit. Yeah. The title track doesn't even play. Like I would never put that thing on my turntable. But yeah, it is a phenomenal album. I'm sure I've told this story before, but like the very first video, my introduction to Metallica was One, and I was with my parents at Walmart, and I wanted to get And Justice on cassette, and they didn't have it. The only Metallica cassette they had was Master of Puppets. So I wound up getting Master of Puppets on cassette and listening to that on the way home, and it was just so that was my first introduction, my first full introduction to Metallica, and it's a phenomenal album, especially Disposable Heroes, Damage Incorporated. I mean, just fucking
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like
awesome album.
Leper Messiah, I love that song. I mean, even the way it ends, and then they just bring back that OG riff into it. Like it's just,
yeah,
they're just, yeah. I can't say enough great things about that record. Even the slow one, Sanitarium is a cool one. The thing that should not be, it's a little slow and then gets heavy back and forth, but like, love it, love it.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. That's our top 20 albums of all time. We got through it. No throats were strangled by each other. I respect Jeff's opinion. I knew what his number one was going to be. I'm not a dummy. I think I know Jeff well enough, but
Yeah.
it's still a great list. I was surprised by some of your picks and where some things were. I'm not surprised at some of the stuff that you have on here. I'm very happy to see that if you were going to do Primus, you were going to do Sailing the Sea of Cheese. No doubt you got a lot of cool copies of Downward Spiral, so I'm glad that's in there. And again, I'm happy that you chose Anima at number 3. That's cool as shit to me because that's a great record. I love that album so much. If somebody said let's put on Tool, that's the one that I'm putting on. So
yeah. It just, I mean, whenever we were picking the top albums, I was just like going through ones that like have had the most staying power through most of my life as the top ones. That's my whole like. So that's why I was like, the Pig Destroyer and Misery Index and all that were like in the first half, and then the second half was like teenage years.
Cool. All right. Well, let's try to wrap this episode up as quick as we can. We still got some new stuff to talk about. So, Jeff, you go first with what you got to show off in this episode.
Okay, I'm going to do these as fast as I can. No real stories or anything about these. Probably my favorite album from 2024, Opeth, The Last Will and Testament. I fucking love this album. It is so good. Yeah, Opeth, Last Will and Testament, just standard black pressing. One of the newer bands that I've discovered over the last month comes from a band from Switzerland. This is a grindcore band from Switzerland. The drummer for the Afternoon Gentlemen is the, I believe, bassist for this band. This is Exorbitant. Prices Must Diminish. This album is from this year. This album is like, I can't even remember the fucking name of it. For a limited time, I knew it had something to do with prices. Exorbitant Prices Must Diminish. Man, this is such a good fucking grind record. It's like 30 songs in 17 seconds or some shit.
What an awesome name.
Yeah. Awesome band. And like I said, I discovered them from Elliott Smith, from the Afternoon Gentlemen. His affiliation with the band is what made me draw to him, and just I'm glad I discovered him. Awesome band. This next album was given to me by the drummer for Canyons. This is a 6-song EP that is in the vein along the lines of the first Clutch album, the Transnational Speedway. This was released by the Ghost is Clear Records. Is not numbered out of 150, as you can see. This is just kind of like a leftover or a run over or whatever. I did some work with Sean a couple of weeks ago when I was in Kansas City, and he gave me a copy of this on vinyl. He said, "Hey, you're out collecting records. Do you want a free Canyons record?" And I said, "You bet your ass I want a free Canyons record." Local band out of Kansas City, awesome punk rock or alternative rock, not alternative rock. That sounds fucking lame, but an awesome rock band out of Kansas City. A week or so ago, I made a purchase from an associate at Relapse Records and bought a couple of Clear records, and I was given a free copy of the Global Relapse Contamination. The promo, this compilation features songs from Gruesome, Mammoth Grinder, Ripped to Shreds, Dreamless Veil, Vacuous, Walking Wounded, Primal Code, and Living Gate. This was just a free vinyl sent to me for purchasing a couple of high-dollar records. Thank you, associate from Relapse Records. I will not disclose your name. One of the records that I bought from this individual was a highly sought-after clear pressing from one of the only albums that this band did on Relapse Records. Today is the Day, In the Eyes of God, a clear pressing of In the Eyes of God. Dude, I am so stoked to have this on clear vinyl. I love this album from beginning to end. This is the only album from Today is the Day that features Braun and Bill from Mastodon. Braun Draylor and Bill Kelleher are the additional vocal. Bill played bass on this album from Today is the Day. Another band that I've recently discovered thanks to the Spotify Wrapped, everybody's top songs that they listen to on Spotify. A few friends of mine had posted about a band that I'd never really heard before. And like one guy posted, I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like a cool band name. And then like 4 other people posted about this band. I'm like, who the fuck is Peeling Flesh? So I listened to Peeling Flesh on the way to work, and I don't think I've stopped since. I mean, this band is so good. They are a brutal slam band out of Oklahoma City. They are on Unique Leader Records. This is a compilation called 3 Year Peeling Spree. This consists of 33 tracks throughout the last 3 years. I guess they've just been a band for the last 3 years, and this is everything that they've released up to this point. But this band is fucking so good. So good. And they're doing an upcoming tour with Aborted and Ingested, I believe. And I am going to travel to go see these guys because I am just obsessed with Peeling Flesh now. I think you should check these guys out, Nick. If you haven't heard Peeling Flesh, I think you should check these guys out. Moving right along, Ren recently picked up a copy of Melvin's The Bulls and the Bees and Electro Retard, which is, of course, the Bulls and the Bees compilation, and then the Electro Retard EPs from over the years on a yellow vinyl. I'm not breaking that out because I got to get through this pretty quick. While I was in Kansas City seeing Better Lovers, I picked up a copy of Dying Fetus Destroy the Opposition on a Pool of Blood edition, and I do have to show this just so I can show you what this looks like. I do not. This is my first copy of Destroy the Opposition. I'm glad I found a copy on this Pool of Blood, which looks a lot better in person than what it does with the light and the camera and the glare and all that shit. Glad to finally have this album on vinyl. Up next, Gojira, From Mars to Sirius. Gojira's best album as far as I'm concerned. A few weeks back, we had a close friend of ours, Scott McKenzie, on the show. While we were doing the show, he talked about an album from White Ward called False Light. During the episode, or maybe it was after the episode, he said that he had an extra copy that he would send to me, and he did. Made good on his word. I gave him my address, and he sent me a free copy of this album. I still haven't listened to this album. Sorry, Scott, but I will. I'm excited to get this going. Two left. I have the full album from Blotted Science, The Machinations of Dementia, which was just released on Alone Records. It's different colors, awesome colors. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, to complete my collection of clear Pig Destroyer records, I came across a clear copy of the Terrifier box set that I am opening for the first time on the episode, which I know I should have already done just to have this out of the way. I can get to his. But very excited to have this clear pressing on vinyl. We're going to show the Natasha disc. God, that is so badass in person. Smells great. Man, that's a good looking record with me in the middle of it. Look at that. With me. Yeah. Awesome to have this box set on clear vinyl. And thank you, Relapse employee, for hooking me up with this. Thank you. Good to have friends at Relapse.
Hell yeah.
All right.
It is good to know people at Relapse for sure. And glad you were able to score a copy of that. That's a good piece to have in your collection.
Yes, it is.
All right. Let me rifle through mine real quick. I was at Walmart the other day and came across a copy of Kill 'Em All. This one is actually red. Let me see.
Oh, nice. Have you found it?
Boom. The red pressing of Kill 'Em All.
Nice.
The last of the OG4 Metallica albums that I don't own on vinyl. And, I kind of wanted to have all those Walmart color pressings on vinyl, which I have everything from this one to the Black Album. I know they did like Hardwired and a couple other ones, but yeah, I stopped at the Black Album. Boom, Kill 'Em All. Love that fucking record. Action Bronson earlier this year, I think it was, did a Tiny Desk show concert on NPR with his live band called Dr. Baklava and the Human Growth Hormone. They pressed it on vinyl. I have the rarest pressing, which was out of 650 on brown vinyl. Yeah, this was a really cool Tiny Desk concert. I like Action Bronson a lot. I've seen him live a handful of times. I actually met him last time he came around here. And let's see, Dimitri, Live from the Moon, Latin Grammys, Baby Blue, Sub-Zero was a bonus track that they did not air on the show. I bought this directly from him. He does these things called flea markets, and you can buy records and stuff, and T-shirts and paintings. A lot of his paintings, as you can see, it's got the little brown sticker there on the top. But yeah, happy to have that. Much like my co-host, I got a copy of this Human Jerky test press with this rare. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, no way! Wowee!
Mine is numbered 1 out of 20, by the way. Really awesome looking pressing. I forgot to tell you this the other day. I saw that geez, what's that band called? The Def Club. They were selling a test press from Smash Plastic. Same thing, color vinyl. So I guess like 31G's going through them to do their pressing now, and yeah, I'm happy to own a test pressing of the very first. It's a repress, obviously, of the first Cattle Decapitation album, but still a good one to own. These are not numbered. I'm just teasing Jeff.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna fucking call Justin and Travis.
This is this is number 20, limited edition out of 20. I got one as well, like my awesome co-host. This is a record store day release that I was hoping Jeff could grab for me. He said the stores that he went to didn't have it. The store that I wanted to go to, they had it, one, and they sold it. And I just bought this off a reseller in Discogs because it wasn't that expensive. Biohazard, Mataleo. I guess they did a press. They pressed this years ago and only in Europe. This is the first time it's pressed in the US. It's on this cool orange tan color vinyl. There is nothing that special about this album. If some of you may remember, in I think 97, 96, Ozzy released this Ozfest Live compilation. And it was from all the bands that performed on not all the bands, but most of the bands that performed on the first Ozfest tour. Cold Chamber, Fear Factory. There's a band called Cellophane that didn't made it on the re-release. But Biohazard was on there, and they put out there's a song in here called These Eyes, and they performed that on that CD, and they said it was from this album Mataleo. So yeah, bought that. I remember buying it on CD when it came out, and just was like, this is pretty cool. I was never a giant Biohazard fan, but I like that record. Next album I bought when I worked at Tower Records. I remember this record coming out, and it was just I knew them from the album before, but this one, Stankonia, Outcast Stankonia. This is one of the craziest hip hop albums I've ever heard. It's really fucking good. I remember they had like 2 different covers, and I guess the other one was really limited, but this album's insane. I guess I was told after this they put out Speaker Box and The Love Below as separate albums to see who's the better of the two, and I didn't realize there was such a beef with these guys. But I love this album a lot. This is a cool hip hop album, Outcast Stankonia. Finally, what I'm going to end on, Jeff shared these in the last episode too. Burn the Priest got my pressing. I ordered 2 of these. One of them is this green one with blue swirlies in it. Like Jeff mentioned in the last episode, the reason me and him are friends and ever met each other is because we were both on the Lamb of God message board, and there were a lot of people that we both have met on that board. There's some I still stay in touch with. The reason why Jeff and I were so unique friends is because both of us had usernames of songs from this album. I was Resurrection number 9. Jeff was Suffering Bastard. This album is just so fucking amazing. I think in the first couple episodes we used to bitch about why don't they press this on vinyl. If I ever see those guys again, I'm going to say something to them. I know it was in a box set, but they finally did it. I guess Revolver Magazine, who I don't trust so much. Much like Jeff's mine's got these cool gold shards in the side. I think that shit made this blue one look really fucking cool. Probably
Absolutely.
cooler than the green one, but happy to have this in my collection. This is such a good record. Obviously, if you don't know, this band eventually became Lamb of God, and there was a guy in the band named Abe. He's not in the band anymore. He was replaced by Willie Adler, and yeah, that's the new stuff that I got this week. Burn the Priest, such a fucking awesome band, Jeff.
Dude.
Back me up.
Yeah. That
That,
album
that
was
record, that album. It's everything. It's got thrash. It's got sludge. It's got it all. They really. Steve Austin from Today's the Day produced it and does vocals on Resurrection #9.
That was actually like it was between that and New American Gospel for me. Like I almost did Burn the Priest, but I was like New American Gospel was just fuck.
Yeah.
But Burn the Priest it definitely has a special place in my heart. Not
For
only
sure.
because of Suffering Resurrection Productions, our very short-lived video project, but awesome album, awesome album.
Well, hell yeah! Thank you again, everybody, for being with us for the last 2 hours or so. This was quite a journey. I'm very happy that we finally got through our top 20, because like this list was very intriguing every time I would hear what Jeff had next. So I'm glad we got it out of the way. That your list is great, dude. I'm really
Thank
happy
you.
with that. I hope you're
Yours
happy.
yours was too. And this list has been like 3 months in the making. Been talking about this since like September.
Yeah, we wanted to save it for our first episodes of 2025. So again, happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
Final thing they tell is my life.